All right, it's another day today. Oh, he's here with me. Have a quick day. So, good day, everybody. It's another beautiful Thursday again from my hand. I hope your day has been nice and I hope your day has been splendid. So, my name is Shakirat Olukun. You can hear me. Can you please leave me a hi and drop me the location of where you are right now? I'm talking to you all the way from Ibadan, Nigeria. I'm glad and excited to be here today. It's our Candid Talk Thursday with parents. So today we are going to be continuing from where we stopped last week. So if you can hear me, can you please leave me a hi and drop me the location where you are hearing me from right now? I'm talking to you all the way from Ibadan. Once again, my name is Shakirat Oluokun, popularly called Always Shakara. I'm your host for today, and I'm going to be talking about our series on the book Connect to Influence. The book that I'm about to author that is already with the publisher and is going to be out by February by God's grace. So if you can hear me, please let me. I can't say anything yet. Drop me your location, and I'm glad to connect with you soon. So last week we started 2 weeks ago we started with the topic Candid Talk series, and we are talking about better ways we can become connected to our children as parents. We have looked at the acronym for influence, and I made mention of the fact that parents remain the primary influencers of their children, no matter how much we delegate our responsibility to schools, to mosques, or to churches. We still remain the most influential person in our child's life, and we must not take that position for granted. We must not abuse our power as a parent. We must not take it with negligence too. We must try to be in that balanced form, in that middle course that's no neither to the extreme right nor to the extreme left. That is, you're trying to balance being a parent and being a friend. I do not support being a friend to your child. I believe that your children can have a lot of friends, but they can only have you as their real parents because you are the real parents. And you have been given that position and that authority on them because you deserve it, because you have what it takes to raise them. The question now is, what effort are you putting in place to fulfill your duty as a parent? And this is the 21st century, don't forget about that. So we must strive to unlearn a lot of things about our own upbringing, the things that get in the way of us connecting with our child as a parent. Because I found out that during my own journey, I used to be if you're that kind of parent, that kind of parent that was raised by a parent that when you are trying to seek their attention, what they do is they give you excuses. When you're trying to calm your body with them, trying to be clingy with them, they tell you you are ola womo, like you always say that, oh my womo, at your age, you are still doing this. So it's about understanding that each of us have a way of requesting for our love, and each of us have our own unique love language. Although there might be overlap in our love languages, but there is this primary one that speaks to us the most. And once anybody use that language for us, we get carried away, we get connected to them, we get attuned to them. And the moment it is not the parent that is giving that kind of love to the child might get lost. The child might get lost. So we have talked about I, which stands for inspire self-discipline. Our job as parents, our primary role as parents is not for us to control our child. I emphasize that in the last series. That is not We are not here to control our child to be who we want them to be. We are here to guide them to look inwardly into themselves and understand that they are here for a purpose. And we can only do that when we let go of control while we try to seek influence by inspiring self-discipline in our child. So if you have not watched that series, you can watch the replay in the session. I think we had that session 2 weeks ago. That was when we started the topic on Connect to Influence and trying to tell us what influence really means in my book, Connect to Influence. And the N there stands for negotiate consequence. As parents, our primary role, like I said before, is for us to influence our children to understand, to look inwardly and understand their own purpose on this life. It is not for them to come and live our own vision. It is for us to put that to make for them that ambience in the home, that heaven that allows them to to feel connected, to feel seen and heard, such that they can understand their own reason on this earth. And you can't do that when your home is not a safe place for your child. When your child does not feel seen, loved, and valued in the home, it's the child might just be portraying to you that he understands what you're saying, or might just be pretending to you. But once the child is not within your control, once they are gone out, once they are out under your roof, they tend to misbehave. They tend to do things that are contrary to who you think they are. So that's one of the reasons why we have to quickly learn to let go of control and try to seek that inspire that self-confidence in our children. And negotiating consequence means that it is not everything that you have to put consequence. It's not everything that you have to say, this is the rule, just go and do this. It's not everything that you have to do alone. You have to involve your child. You have to look at that particular behavior that you actually really do not like, that has been persisting, and try to involve your child age appropriate wise in the appropriate consequence, or in ways you can amend that situation such that you don't have cause to be repeating yourself every time. One of the ways that I did that was when my own son, when he was around, I think age, that was 2018, when he has a habit of when we are rushing to school in the morning. Before morning, I've always advised him to use the toilet once they wake up in the morning before going for bath. But I noticed that he would not go for toilets, and it's not his fault. He doesn't have that bowel movement that time for him to feel like pooing. So me, I used to think because I want to save my own time, I don't want them to make me late to my own place of my own school. Likewise themselves, I want them to poo at my own convenience that time. That's one of the ways we as parents we force onto our children just to suit our own selves. So he is not used to that. It is when he has finished eating his breakfast, and we are about to leave to go to school. That's when my son will say, I want to poo poo. I know, it can be annoying, right? When you're already late, you're already like 30 minutes late. Thank you for joining us, Zaria Oshinlaja and Amina Salahuddin from Ibadan. Thank you for joining me. Adeleke Basira, thank you for joining me. So you know how infuriating it can be that when you are already late for an appointment, and that's when your son knows or your daughter says he or she wants to poo. So I think he does that persistently, and I'll always complain, always nag. What's your problem? Every day is when we are going to school, when we are going out that you don't want to poo. Since morning you don't poo, and it's not changing anything. I had to ask myself, how can I come about changing this situation? I had to involve him. What do you think we can do? I think you don't usually feel like pooing in the morning when you wake up. It's when you finish eating, that's when you feel as if your stomach is filled. How can we work around that? Obviously, your act of doing this time delays us. You know that, so right? And you agree that is true. I'm sorry about that. It's just that that's when I feel like pooing. What do you think we can do? And he came up with suggestion. Mommy, perhaps I'll try to pour. I'll drink water immediately I finish brushing my teeth. Maybe perhaps I'll feel like pooing and I'll use the toilet. And if I don't feel like pooing that moment, I think I will have to poo immediately I finish it up. I'll plan my time such that I will not delay you. Immediately I finish sweeping the parlor, I will go and try to poo. I'll eat immediately and poo, and I'll do my revision for the activities I'm normally doing in the home after then. And we're able to come to the solution of that just by involving him and negotiating my own consequence, leaving my own form of ego to see things from his own perspective. These are ways we as parents, we unknowingly, not because we are bad, not because we are not a good parent, but because we are not just not conscious enough, we are not mindful enough. We just want our children to do things that suits us. That's the truth. We don't need to lie to ourselves. Many times we do things that will suit us, not considering the opinion of our children. And the F for in the word influence stands for us to focus on the positive. I mentioned it that there is positivity in every of us. The more we focus on a particular trait in our child, the more it grows. That's the truth. So if you have not catch the replay, go and watch the replay of that session. And I also said that L stands for labeling the behavior, not your child. Label the behavior of the child, not your child. You behaved rudely. You behave in a rude manner, not you are rude. These are things that we have been programmed to accept as normal. But believe me, these words has effect on the soul of our children. And until we deliberately unlearn those words, the use of those words, that's when things become better. When you try to change your words, there's power in words that we use. The moment we try to change our words, children change naturally. The moment you use positive words for them, they manifest being positive. They manifest that word that you use on them. And the moment you continue to hamper on their little trait, their weakness, they manifest those traits too to you. So it's all about you, the parent. That's why I said in my book, Connect to Influence, that parenting is more about you than it is about your child. That it is what you know, what you do as a parent, how you portray, how you carry yourself, your energy, the energy you display in the home, that actually determines how your children behave. And because children during their early years of life, they absorb, they are neutral to what we call emotions. It's not as if they don't have emotions in them, but it is the one that we display to them that they imbibe more. So if you're that parent that yells every time, that beats every time, that frowns every time, your child will automatically believe that's the way life is expected to that's the way it is expected to behave. That early years of life is very important in our children's life. So we must be more conscious of what we do, how we express our anger. It's okay to be angry, like I usually tell my son. It's okay to feel angry, but can you please express your anger in a more healthy way? So these are ways we should focus on the positive in our children. Don't label your child as bad or as this. Even the good ones, be careful what you label your child as, but label the behavior. You acted brave. That was brave of you. Not you are a genius. You are this, you are that. I'm not saying we should not praise our children with words that with positive words, adjectives. But what I'm saying is that we must let our children not get full of themselves. We must learn to distinguish between a behavior and a child. And that thing I mentioned in last session was that we should understand each child's uniqueness. And I emphasize the fact that the more you understand your child, the better it becomes for you. And the more you understand yourself, everything just emanates from you. That's the truth. That's the rule to this life. Everything good begins from the inside out. So you must understand that the more you as a parent understand your own self, because one of the things that assisted me was because I try to understand myself. I try to look inwardly for the things that are getting in the way of me doing the best for my child. I will beat my child not because I feel like beating him. I will yell, I will scream, I will say things I don't mean, not because I wanted to say them, but because there is this programming that I've received that was difficult for me to let go of. That was difficult for me, that is making it difficult for me to come to my children from a place of my own essence. These are ways we can look inwardly and ask ourselves that what are the things that get in the way of us parenting with our children from our own essence? Because I believe that every one of us has their own unique essence, and it's not bad, it's good. Of course, we have that good and bad trait in us all, but then believe me, that's the ones that we focus on, especially grows. So the question is, are you looking inwardly as a parent, or you're trying to project your own fears onto your child? Try to understand yourself as a parent. Self-awareness is important in life. And if I'm asked, somebody was asking me, I think around last year during a session that I have with parents, that if I'm asked that what gift will I give my children, I would say it's the gift of self-awareness, because I believe that once an individual understands himself and the reason why he's here, every other thing will be easier for them. So it's one of the things that we must. I wonder why they don't teach us these things in school. That they were just pushing us in that follow the crowd direction, that because people are doing this, I want to do it, because they are doing this in class, and you find somebody that is not challenging that thinking or that approach, we now tend to label them. The gift of self-awareness is one of the things that we can do to ourselves and for our children. You must understand each child's uniqueness, because it assists you to parent them better. It assists you to give them the best of yourself and bring out the best in them. My son typically, because during his toddler, he was a, let me come here, I don't want to say late bloomer because it's not as if he's bad, but one of the things that I noticed about him is that he has this his speech development was slower than his peers. He started talking around 3 plus. So because of that, I was, of course, no parent, there's no parent that will not be worried. I was worried, I was scared, and he also started working late too. He sat late. He started sitting right late. He started working late. So those things made me start comparing him unknowingly, even though I'm not saying it out. Deep inside myself, I was comparing him to others until I deliberately had to work on myself, go for trainings, and start to see things differently. So understand that each child is unique, and until they are ready, no matter how much we project our own fears onto them, they will not change. And it's not about, we should ask ourselves every time that, is it that your child is triggering your own incompleteness, because your child feel that something, you're now seeing that as a projection of who you are, because you have also failed at something in the past. You're now trying to see things as if, this thing will happen to my son too. Very soon my child will not be this. Very soon my child will not be that. These are ways we can look inwardly at the things that get in the way of us parenting our children with the right tools and the right essence. So, for today, we are going to be looking at the last four words, four letters, that is ENCE, that is from the word influence. We're going to be looking at the last four letters, ENCE, and we have just 14 minutes to do that. If you're just joining me, can you please leave me a hi and tell me where you are seeing me from? I'm talking to you all the way from Ibadan. And if you have been learning something, can you please tell me one or two things you have learned? I think it makes it better that way. Thank you, as you do. So today, the next E in the word influence stand for embrace emotions. Embrace emotions. That's the first E in the word influence. You embrace emotions. We are emotional being. We are wired for connection. We have been imagine a life without emotion. Just close your eyes and imagine that you cannot express our anger, you cannot express our displeasure, you cannot even if there is no emotion, when you have done something bad, it means you won't be able to feel remorseful. This is one of the reasons why we must embrace emotions. No matter what we have been told about emotions, we have to understand that all emotions are good, be the negative or the positive ones. They are all there for a purpose. They are all there to make us look inwardly into ourselves and ask ourselves critical questions on how we are engaging with our presence with the world. So you must understand that for you to connect with your child, you must be able to embrace emotions. For you, that's the starting point. Your child is throwing a tantrum, especially your toddler, and you're already thinking, no, he's trying to get attention. No, I don't have your time this afternoon. Your son is frustrated because he's trying hard on a task and he's not getting it yet, and you're already angry at him. So that what is your problem? Is it because you did not get it? That's why you're getting angry. Wallow more. That's your problem. That's a cup of tea. You must embrace that emotion first. Your child is trying to maybe he's trying to solve a math or a puzzle and he's not getting it and he's getting frustrated or he's about to give up already. You can say words like, wow, I can see you are frustrated, right? It can be frustrating, right? First acknowledge that emotions. That's how we connect. It's by you saying that I see you, I know what you're feeling, I understand the way you are feeling. That's when your child can now open up to you. Imagine you as a parent to crying or feeling hurt by something. Maybe you lost money, you're now crying, maybe a huge amount of money, you're now crying. As what now said, is that why you're crying? How would you feel? These are one of the ways we don't even acknowledge our children's emotions. Because your child lost a toy doesn't mean that it's just a toy. To your child, that's your child. That's one of the important things to the child. So regardless of what a thing is that your child is getting angry or not happy about that makes the child sad, upset, angry, or in anxiety, acknowledge that feeling first. That's when your child can now open up to you, and that's when you can assist the child by influencing the child. So these are things we should look up to. Embrace your child's emotion, no matter how bad it is. And I tell you, I understand because I'm a parent too. I understand that it's difficult to to come to accept our children, especially during their difficult moments. During those times that they are trying to be difficult to deal with, it's difficult for us as parents to give them our best. Because many of us, of course, were not raised that way. When we are angry, our parents are not coming with us, most of us. For those of very few of us were fortunate to have parents that when they are hungry, their parents are being considerate of them. For many of us, especially the Yorubas and Mistors, forget to you can never be right with your parents. You are hungry, your parents will be angry with you too. So one of the things that I personally preach in my home is that you have to be patient with the angry one. Yes, it is the angry one that needs us to be more patient with him or her. So you must try to let your child understand that for every time you're trying to connect with your child, you must embrace the emotion. Your child is feeling afraid, maybe to receive an injection, anything, embrace that feeling. Don't deny it. Don't lie to your child that no, it will not hurt. Let's stop these things that we do to children. We are making children in ordinance with their emotions. We are trying to create a future that does not exist for our children. Let them understand that pain is part of life. So don't lie to your child that no, it doesn't hurt. No, it will not pain you. Tell them the truth. It's going to hurt, but believe me, it's going to be alright after a while. So these are ways we unknowingly neglect or deny our children of their emotions. So another word that we have to understand in the word influence is the one N, the next N, which is no. You should understand that no can be said in a loving manner. Nobody loves to be told no. That's the truth. As adults too, When life tells us no, we scream. Not that we scream like this by shouting, but our actions scream. Our way of engaging with the world screams that no, we don't want this. And a typical example is COVID. When COVID happened, because it was not in our plan, that's one of the reasons that we have to understand that nothing is in our control. When COVID happened, we were screaming, we don't want this, no. And that's the way life will always tell us no. So we must understand that no, we can disagree with our children in a loving manner. We can say no to them in a loving manner. Thank you very much for joining me. Mulikat and Ila Saba, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. So we can learn to say no to our children in a loving manner. It's not about yelling, it's not about beating them. Our children need us to set that boundary for them by saying no to them. No, you can't have that. You just finish having your food. You can't have that cookies now. No, you can't do that because you're going to hurt yourself. My son just now just finished eating bread and tea. I think around 1, and immediately said me that it's not okay. He wants to have garri again, and I told him no, you cannot have it because you just finished eating this, and I think that's enough for you. So these are ways. It's not about beating him, and he has been telling me I want to have it. I want to have it because I did not answer him. He had to just give up, and he left me. We have to develop our emotional strength to the level that our children's behavior does not trigger that feeling of inadequacy in us. It's a journey, it's a process, but we have to continuously look at that goal in our front that no, this is where I'm going, such that my children's behavior is not triggering in me the feeling of I'm not in charge. We should not allow our ego set in because many times we parent from a place of ego. That's truth. We want to prove that we are in charge. Yes, I'm the parent. That's the way we were raised. But believe me, that approach is not sustainable. For you to connect to your children in this century, you have to be diplomatic, very, very diplomatic. I'm not asking you to relegate your position as a parent. I'm asking you to can we try to correct some things? Can we try to see things in perspective by trying to make our children understand that we are always here for them, even though we're not going to be their friend all of the time. In fact, if you are your child's friend all of the time, we are not in the bad record of your child, you're not doing it well. You have to be in their bad record 1 or 2, 3 times. That shows that you're doing it right. If your child is not like lovey dovey with you every time, my mom is my best friend, my dad is my best friend, you need to check that very well. Be sure that you're not passing a different message because you're trying to balance between being a friend and a parent. And that's one of the difficult relationships to manage. Like I said in my book, Connect to Influence. And the next one is connection over commanding and condemning. That's what the last C in the word influence, that's what it stands for. That as parents, we should try to seek connection. We should understand that it is connection that is most important than commanding or condemning a person. You cannot gain influence by commanding people. Even as adults, in our workplace, in anywhere we find ourselves, we don't like when people command us. We don't like when people say, hey, do this for me, hey, do that for me. We like when people appreciate us for what we add or for the value that we add into their organizations. We like when people appreciate the little efforts we are making to become better, not those that are condemning us because you're trying to make effort to become better and you make a mistake. Those that laugh at you, those that condemn your efforts by saying, no, you did it wrongly. We must understand that it is connection that brings about healthy relationship. And the moments we lost that power of connection with our children, it means we have put ourselves in the back position. We put ourselves in the back seat while we allow other people do what we are supposed to do as parents. I believe strongly in the fact that when parents can get it right from our home, when we as parents can do our job by understanding that our authority as parents is not about controlling our children, it's about deliberately seeking the power to influence them. It's a journey. It's a journey actually. You cannot always command or control your child. You can only seek to connect. And there are numerous ways you can connect. Like I said in my book, Connect to Influence. When you get that book, you're going to be wowed by that amazing content. Those that have sent reviews are saying good things about the book. You're going to get your book. For those of you that have pre-ordered, you're going to get your books by February 20. I've not agreed on it. I think February 24 or 28. I'm going to reach out to you before the beginning of February. It's already with the publisher. They're working on it already. Thank you for your patience. A lot of things happened along the line that had to rethink publishing the book. But we thank God we are already taking the decision and we are working through it despite on others. Thank you for your patience. And the last E in the word influence is encourage and empathize, emphasize values. We must continuously encourage the values that we believe in as parents. We must not impose on them. That's why I believe so much in starting early. The moment you start early with your, don't say your child is too small, because I'm a living witness that children are not too small to practice values. No matter how much you think they are too young, they will practice them when you teach them. When you start early with them, they tend to imbibe those values. That's the truth. Just yesterday, when I was washing, my son was insisting. My son is a foodie. He likes food. Even though for the early years of his life, for the first 2 years of his life, he was not that foodie. But the moment he got to that 2 years of age, he can eat anything. So he likes food so much. He finished eating. I was watching. I asked my younger brother to please dish him his food. He dished him the first one. He said it was not okay. I think he gave him the second one. He said it was not okay. He came back to me that it's not okay. And I said, like, wow, you have collected two times. You can't have it again. And was like, no, I want more. He continuously started crying. Started crying. I ignored him. All of a sudden, he just yelled, don't worry, ignore me. Continue ignoring me. Maybe you are ignoring me. I don't even want your rice again. I don't want your food again. And I'm telling you, I want food, I want food, I want food. No answer me. He yelled. If it was the old me from me myself, I will beat that child. I will spank that child. Who are you to do that to me? Because I've come from a place of knowledge. I understand that he knows what he's doing. He's trying to press my button, and I refuse to be tempted. I didn't say anything. And few minutes later, and I asked my brother, I called him that the food that you gave him, are you sure that the food that you gave him is enough? He said, though you gave him small, small bits. I said, that's the fault. Add, go and give him small. Add small to it. And he gave him the food. And he said, I don't want your food again, no. I don't want your food. I'm not going to eat your food. I don't want your food. I'm telling you, I want food. I want food. He did not answer me. And did not answer me. I did not say anything. I was still washing my clothes. I did not answer him. He just came to me. From a few minutes, while I was still washing, he just came back to me. He went to the parlor, he saw the food, and he came back to me. Mommy, thank you for giving me more food. I'm very sorry for yelling at you. I was like, should I give you a hug? I was like, so so children know when they are doing something that is wrong. They don't need us to emphasize to them that they are doing something that is wrong. But have we taught them to the level that when they do something that is wrong, they're able to call themselves back to action and make corrections by apologizing or doing the right thing? Until you do that to your child, that your child understand that this thing that I'm doing is wrong, and is able to retrace his step to doing the right thing, that is when you are empowering your child. So you must emphasize your words, your values to your child. One of the values that I preach in my home is the ability to preempt forgiveness and say no and apologize when you are wrong. And because I've been able to do that to my child, my son, I'm proud that he's learning. Even though he's still very young, he knows when he hurts other people and is able to apologize. He knows when he has gone beyond boundary and is able to apologize. If I had beaten him immediately he did that, perhaps he could have apologized immediately, but that apology will not be a sincere one. You don't force a child to say I'm sorry. You have to teach your child to the level that they understand that they have done something that is wrong, and they deliberately come to you to seek for forgiveness and ask and mend ways with you. This is what we call teaching. It's not about just imposing your child, beating your child every time. Of course, that beating may get a child, like I said in my book, Connect to Influence. Beating a child might get a child to do the right thing, to do what you want, but obviously it does not empower your child to do the right thing or to prevent that behavior in the future. That's the truth. I will say it again. Beating a child to do what you want or what is right does not might get you what you want that moment, but it does not empower your child with the right tools for the rights in the future. Thank you very much, Ma. I really appreciate that. So we must understand that the moment we start early with our children, don't say your child is just one, it's just two. See, people that are doing amazingly well, they have plans for their children right from the early years of their life. They have their goals written down and they follow through with it. Not because they have all the resources or the tools, but because they have a vision and they are not scared to follow through with what they have promised themselves to do. And many times as parents, because we are lazy, that's the truth. Parenting with vision and mission is difficult. Yes, it's difficult because you are doing things with a purpose, not just parenting children with the way life comes to you. That's not about parenting. Parenting children with purpose is difficult and it's tougher. So if you are into it, believe me that you are in for more work. And believe me, the more work you do, the better you become. Parenting children by beating, by yelling, by just doing things as life happens to you is easy. Anybody can do that. Even a mad woman on the streets is parenting the child the way life happens to the child. But somebody that is sane, a person that is sane, that has a vision, is constantly, continuously questioning himself and herself that, am I doing it right? What else can I do to improve this? How else can I become better? Even in goals, in business, we have goals. We are always trying to become best in our businesses. But when it comes to parenting, we are lazy. We are always giving excuses. I don't have time. I cannot read. My sister, if you read a book on parenting, if you quit 10 minutes a day for reading books on parenting, you will read at least a book in 1 month. 10 minutes times 30 days, that's 30 minutes. You have read books for over 30. What am I saying? 10 times 30, that's 300 minutes. You have read book for 300 minutes. Go and convert that into hours and tell me how much you have learnt in a month. But we are lazy parents. Many of us are lazy. We don't want to make efforts. We are too comfortable. And the moment you're in your comfort zone, it means you are not improving. So step up your games by challenging yourself to become better. Enroll for courses, read books, join groups that will support you to achieve your goals. And it's not about copying anybody, it's about you looking at yourself, looking at your reality as a family, and drawing goals that will suit that family. Looking at each child and assisting the child to become better, to reach their full potential, regardless of their own their weaknesses. This is not about parenting, it's about somebody reached out to me some months ago that I used to post everything that happened in my house. I used to post about my son cooking for me. I said that is because it's part of my goal. I'm not asking anybody to copy me. My son, my 9-year-old, can cook to a reasonable extent. I'm not asking anybody to imitate me, but I'm telling you that once you have your own goal for your own family, even if it is 7 years old, your child will cook. If that's your goal, if you can have the tools and you have the environment to enable your child to bring out that skill in them, they will do it. It's not about competing with anybody. It's looking at your own reality, looking at your own finances, looking at your own situation, and setting goals that suit them. And that's one of the things that we can do for you in our own academy. That's one of the things we can help you with in our academy. There are a lot of books we are going to. Don't worry, ma. You're already in the group. You're already in the coaching setup. We are going to be reading books starting from February because we have a low turnout for people that are enrolled for the course on this January on our yearly annual program. That's why we did not start reading our book for January. I already have the list of books that we are going to be reading for this year. So believe me, you do not make a mistake by enrolling for that course. You're going to be wowed by how much you're going to learn. So one of the books that I recommend is Conscious Parenting. I recommend the Raising Boys, Raising Girls. There are a lot of books that you can read. Believe me, we are not challenging ourselves. We are in our comfort zone when it comes to parenting. And until we step up our games by doing more than our parents did, that's when life becomes better for our children. Life is evolving. We should not remain stagnant. So thank you once again for joining me today. I do not take it for granted. I appreciate your presence. I appreciate your commitment because it means nothing when we are here to say we want to teach the little that we know and nobody is here to listen. It means there is no value in what you're giving out. So I really appreciate your presence. I do not take it for granted. And always remember that parenting is more about you than it's about your child. Be more than a parent, be purposeful. You can drop in your comments, your suggestions, your learnings, or your questions in the comment section. I do not take this for granted. I'll answer them at my own convenient time soon, by God's grace. Do well to invite other parents here. If you are getting value from this group, please do well to invite parents to join us too. I do not take that for granted. Thank you so much. Bye.